Hey, I'm Joe. So if this is your first time tuning in, I typically work on old motorcycles and I restore them. So I've been working on my 1979 Honda CBX, it's right over there. And then I recently picked up two 1983 Honda CB1100Fs. So these are a one-year bike made in the US. They were made a couple years in other countries. So these are a little harder to find. But these are one of the biggest engines that Honda made on their dual overhead cam platform. One of them is pretty close to being able to run, which is this red one. So I haven't started it up. I haven't done any work on it because I just bought it last week. And then the blue one over there does not have an engine in it. So that one still requires a bit of work. I think the issue on this red one is it's supposed to have low compression in cylinder 3. So I'm just going to try and start it up and see if we get it to run, turn over. I know there are already a bunch of issues with it. The front brake is locked up, so it made it a little hard getting it into the garage. And it does look like there is some corrosion on the side of the gas tank. So I'm hoping that there isn't any pinholes in the gas tank. It's a little tricky to seal those things up. I've tried using steel stick, which is like JB Weld in the past, and that did not do well. So I'd prefer to weld if there are any issues. But I'm probably gonna take some pieces off this bike, do some inspection, and then see if we can actually get it to turn it over. I think I'll use a jump box for that. So enjoy. Now, before I attempt to start up this bike, there's a couple things that I want to go over, check, just make sure everything looks okay before we start it, right? We don't want to cause any damage. Like if the engine doesn't have any oil in it, that would not be good if we tried to start it. So first thing that pops out at me is there's obviously no battery. So I will use my jump box to plug up. I did already purchase a battery for this bike. A couple other things that I'm noticing right now. This is not an OEM Honda bolt. So hopefully this is still the correct thread. There have been a bunch of occasions where I bought an old motorcycle, right? These are 40 years old, and they threaded a standard bolt in here instead of a metric one, which is really painful. You have to retap. Sometimes you have to use different size bolts. So that can become a hassle. But there are some nice things to this bike, even though it does look like it's a little dated, obviously. But these CR carbs, these are probably $1,600 carbs. They use them on a lot of the race bikes. So this is not factory, but this is a very nice set. So it's great that this is on the bike. I've also noticed that they've upgraded the rear suspension. These are really clean, so it looks like they were purchased pretty recently. It does have an aftermarket exhaust pipe, it looks like. The stock ones are black, so it looks like it's got a mega cone design. You can see that it does have what looks like the original Honda key, and then it has the ignition. But as I look a little bit deeper, I can see that this was drilled out. What a lot of people do is they end up just taking this off because these are really hard to find. You can probably rekey them. I haven't actually done that, so I don't know how difficult that is. But it looks like a lot of the controls are still the same. I'm not sure if the original bar was this silver color, but it does look like all of the controls are still factory. Do notice, looks like something broke off in there. So this is where the mirrors typically screw into. And then these bar ends are aftermarket. And I can't remember if these are stock or not. It does look like there's electrical tape wrapped around this. It's probably because paint has stripped off. You can always repowder coat these. That's not too difficult. And it's nice that it does still have the factory bullet fairing, even though there is, it looks like there was some paint imperfections. It was probably scratched because it looks like it goes all the way down and maybe they tried to fill it, something like that. So going over to the other side of the bike, I can already see that there is a brake in this rear light. Luckily, I did get another rear light with this, which is good. Looks like it's still the factory swing arm. Looks like it's still the rear controls. I can't remember if these were chrome on these. Some of the covers and things are still the originals. It still has the oil cooler up front. Looks like it's still the stock front suspension, right? It has the word track right here, which is what they did with these models. It's still the correct wheels. Not really sure about all these cables and things. These are pretty cheap and easy to buy replacements for. Still has, looks like the stock front Honda brakes. And it looks like we still have the center stand, which is working, and the kickstand as well. The electronics don't look like they've been tampered with too much on the main harness. Still using the 30 amp factory fuse here. These turn signals, this turn signal relay, I don't know if this has been swapped out. If there were LEDs on this bike at any time, you do need to swap this out because this only works with the incandescent. And then going back to the rear of the bike, this is where the turn signals mount, and the turn signals people usually take off. A lot of people don't like them. It's a very old square design, and it looks like these wires have been taped off. Hopefully not taped together, but that's a little strange. So we'll take this tail off, and then we'll probably take the tank off as well. That'll give me better access to the carburetor because I'm not sure the state of what's in the tank. All right, so let's take out this screw and let's take off the seat with the tail. You should just be able to pull back and up. Okay, so it looks like there's a couple screws and things missing back here. It looks like there is some damage, so it can't screw in, but it can screw in right here. It does look like it is the correct seat as well. So it doesn't look like the tank is even fully screwed down. Tank may not even be connected, so let's see. So you always have to be careful in pulling the tank out. You want to make sure it doesn't bang up against the front of the bike. And all right, so it's already disconnected. So now that I've got the tank off, something I can inspect is just the condition of the frame. So let's see how much rust is on this frame. So frame does look to be in pretty good condition, right? Hopefully there haven't been any cuts or anything to this frame. You can see there's a little bit of rust here, but for the most part, the frame is in good shape, right? I had one of the bikes that I worked on, it was a CB1100F, it was a 1980, and this is an 83, and they have a very similar frame, and there was rust all over the top of this. But this looks like it's in good shape. So I'm going to plug up the jump box. Let's see if we get any power up here. No, I get no power up here. So let's see if all this is plugged up properly. So I do have power going there. Then we can check fuse. Okay, it does look like there's a fuse there. Let's push this down all the way. Make sure we are grounding this. Well, that's not grounding. Okay, all right. So we are getting power. That's good. Let's make sure the bike is in neutral. So it does look like we're in neutral. Very quick way to check this. Just to spin like that. So let's see if the headlight works. So we got light there. Let's see if the high beam works. So that is the high beam. So we got high beam, low beam, good. And then turn signal just makes noise. So nothing's actually plugged up. Let's see if the choke does anything. I don't see anything moving on the choke, so I'll have to trace that down. High beam, okay. We'll turn this off real quick, and then let's check the oil. Dipstick on these bikes, on the left side. Okay, looks like there is oil. It's pretty clean, so it looks like it is new oil. Okay, that's a good sign. All right, so I'll turn the jump box back on. Let's see how secure all of these mounts are. That's not very secure at all. All right, that's a little better. Okay, we're getting power. Let's see if the starter actually turns over. All right, so we do have a starter. There's no gas hooked up to it. So that's the next thing we can do. Plug gas in and see if we can actually get it to start. So we've got an auxiliary fuel tank hooked up that I've got going into the carbs. So I don't know if the carbs have any gas in them or not. So I'm gonna try and fill them up real slowly. I don't know if it's gonna leak. So I've got it turned on. Actually, let's turn it off right now. All right, so let's try and fill up the carbs with gas. So just gonna put a little in, see if we get any leaking. We do. Grab a rag, just in case. All right, so let's slowly try and fill them up. We do get a bunch of gas leaking down this side too. So yes, these carbs are gonna have to come off. All right, so let's try. Yeah, it doesn't look like I can even flip the throttle here. The cables are binding, could be a number of things. So this bike definitely needs some work. Let's try and start it anyway. So it does feel like even the starter button is sticking. I'd like to give it gas, but yeah, this is not moving. Oh, got a little spark. No, we're getting a little bit. It could be that we're just not getting gas through there. There could be a bunch of issues there. All right, we'll stop there. I don't want to burn out the starter. All right, so next step on the CB1100F is I'm gonna have to pull the carbs off. I'll have to go through, clean them. I'm gonna lube the throttle cables as well as the choke cables. That way I can actually get a functioning throttle, and that will make it a little bit easier for us to try and start this. Thanks for watching. So if you want to get notifications when I release more videos, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Thanks.